Imagine getting beaten and whipped every day, always working in the fields in the scorching sun and not being treated the way you should. Uncle Tom and a lot of other slaves live this life. They don't deserve it. Uncle Tom's Cabin is a heartfelt story of Uncle Tom, a dark-skinned slave that has been sold and is trying to survive. From 1832, Harriet Beecher Stowe lived with her family in Cincinnati, a border city in the free state of Ohio across the river from the slave state of Kentucky. Here she was exposed to all the slavery. Stowe's family and many of their friends had long been abolitionists, and inflamed by the injustice of the fugitive law, Harriet began to write what was intended a few sketches for the abolition newspaper. It began as a serial in the national area, edited by Gamaliel Bailey in Washington, D.C. Uncle Tom's Cabin ran from June 5, 1851 to April 1, 1852, getting an ever-increasing audience as the story progressed. Abolitionist is a person who favors the abolition of a practice or institution, especially capital punishment or slavery. This house was once part of a community called Nook Farm. In this Victorian house, Stowe lived with her husband Calvin and her oldest twin daughters, Hattie, also known as Harriet, and Eliza. They moved into the house in 1873 and were residents there until Stowe's death in 1896. The house contains period antiques and also items that belong to the Stowe family. Arthur Shelby, a nice slave owner of Tom, cannot afford to keep all the slaves and sells Uncle Tom, a middle-aged slave, with his family. She was going to sell Harry, her maid slave son, but the mother Eliza runs away with Harry. Harry and Eliza hunted, and Tom goes to live with St. Clair, who shortly before he died, he offered to free Tom. He dies before this happens, and Tom is sold to Simon Legree, a rude man. Legree begins to hate Tom when Tom refuses Legree's order to whip a slave. Legree beats Tom viciously and resolves to crush his new slave's faith in God. Uncle Tom is almost hopeless, as his faith in God is tested by the hardships of the plantation. However, he has two visions, one of Jesus and one of Eva, which renew his resolve to remain a faithful Christian even unto death. Legree orders his overseers to kill Tom. As Tom is dying, he forgives the overseers who savagely beat him. Very shortly before Tom's death, George Shelby, Arthur Shelby's son, arrives to buy Tom's freedom, but finds he is too late. Uncle Tom's Cabin contributed to the outbreak of war by personalizing the political and economic arguments about slavery. Stowe's informal conversational writing style inspired people in the way that political speeches, tracts, and newspapers accounted could not. Uncle Tom's Cabin helped many 19th century Americans determine what kind of country they wanted.